id Software's latest title in the Doom series is nearly upon us, launching on May 15th for the Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC, and May 13th for those who pre-purchased. It's also arguably the most epic game in the franchise yet. Doom: The Dark Ages visits an earlier point in the Slayer's life, whereupon he fought hordes of demons and really earned his reputation as the Hell Walker. Though its setting is full of medieval architecture, lending a fantasy flavor and atmosphere unseen in the 2016 reboot and Doom Eternal, the technology powering it is as cutting edge as they come. It's powered by id Tech 8, the developer's latest iteration of its proprietary software, which evolved significantly over id Tech 7, last used in Doom Eternal, though Machine Games also used it for Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. How does it improve over its predecessor? And for that matter, how does the performance measure up, especially on consoles?
2, 1.
Evolution from Doom Eternal. Before we delve into its performance, it is worth noting all of the improvements that Doom: The Dark Ages brings to the table compared to Doom Eternal. The most obvious is the implementation of ray-traced global illumination, which adds a stunning new dimension to everything. Levels feel more naturally illuminated with realistic shadows, with some of the most notable examples being in the opening mission, with the smallest fire casting a natural glow on the surroundings, including the nearby enemies. It's also stunning to see the atmospherics like rain illuminated when there's a sudden flash of thunder, especially when a horde of enemies awaits the Slayer. Not only does this highlight the more detailed textures and environments, which are absolutely brimming with details, but it also makes them feel more natural and lived in. It also adds to the destructible components in the environment, which are a huge step up from Eternal. You can see this in the opening level when shooting wooden structures. They'll crumble realistically, though some jank was noticeable at one part. In another level, striking an enemy and sending their carcass into a nearby stone pillar results in it slightly crumbling, emitting dust and dislodging stones from the impact. Of course, ray-traced reflections are amply implemented as well. One notable example is in the second mission, where you battle demons in a darkened room, their bodies and projectiles reflecting on the wet floors, which brings us to the increased enemy count. Though there are still linear paths to traverse and tight indoor environments to fight in, Doom: The Dark Ages features much more open environments. Filling them out with enemies is thus important, but the numbers are significantly higher than Eternal, with dozens roaming around at some points. Now, this is ordinarily where you would start to wonder about the performance. But there's good news. PC performance. One of the hallmarks of the contemporary Doom series is its scalability on PC, and The Dark Ages is no different. Running it at 2160p, 60 FPS, and ultra settings require an AMD Zen 3 CPU or a 12th generation Intel CPU at 3.2 GHz and 8 cores. A ray tracing capable GPU is needed across all recommended configurations, with an RTX 4080 and AMD RX 7900 XT provided as examples. And finally, you'll need 32 GB of RAM and an NVMe SSD with 100 GB of installation space. Our test rig consisted of an AMD Ryzen 9 5950X, an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, an NVMe SSD PCIe 4.0, and 94 GB of RAM. As for the settings, we opted for a 3840 by 2160 resolution with dynamic scaling, 60Hz refresh rate, VSync with triple buffering, and a 90-degree field of view. NVIDIA DLSS was enabled for upscaling on balanced mode with the sharpness set to 46%. Motion blur is on high with its quality set to ultra, and we opted for the ultra preset on everything else. Shadow quality, reflections quality, directional occlusion, you name it. In terms of performance, Doom: The Dark Ages seamlessly maintains the 60 FPS target, even with the sheer number of enemies on screen, projectiles, particles, especially in effect trails, and fast-paced action that's all happening. The overall scale of the levels is also impressive, not just because of the quality of the environments or background details, including larger foes walking around, but also because of the lack of pop-in and asset loading. It's a tightly optimized experience that keeps the action rolling fiercely, whether you're fighting on the ground or in the Atlan mech.
The core explodes, the city goes with it.
PS5 Performance. The PS5 version sadly only offers one mode, which runs in 60 frames per second. There are options to adjust the field of view and enable or disable chromatic aberration and depth of field. Motion blur can also be toggled with options for customizing the amount, but otherwise, there are really no other graphical options. On the bright side, the PS5 version does a great job of keeping up with the PC version in terms of performance. We didn't face any slowdown, at least nothing that was noticeable enough to hamper the experience, even during explosive action scenes. There is a noticeable difference in fidelity from the PC version, which we're going to get into. However, considering the detail, RTGI implementation, and environmental scale, it is still an incredible effort by id Software. PC versus PS5 quality. As usual, the PC version is superior in quality, though the PS5 version holds its own in performance. Even the loading times are pretty much the same, and they're extremely short, whether you're transitioning from the main menu into the next campaign mission or from a cutscene directly into gameplay. Now, when comparing the fidelity, it seems that dynamic resolution scaling is more in play on the PS5 version than PC, though we'd attribute this more to the sheer difference in hardware. The image quality doesn't take too big of a hit, though the PC version still offers better clarity, allowing all the individual details to shine that much more. Ray-traced reflections also look sharper on PC, with the PS5 version producing slightly less clear reflections in those puddles. While the differences are much more obvious upon comparing side by side, id Software has done an impressive job with the PS5 version. It just speaks more to the work put into the PC version, and this isn't even on the absolute highest settings, to provide really the most graphical superior experience. Conclusion. Doom: The Dark Ages doesn't just highlight id Software's mastery when it comes to optimized PC ports, but also its ability to eke out so much from the base PS5. Gorgeous atmospherics, expansive environments brimming with all kinds of details, impressive use of ray-traced global illumination, and above all else, smooth performance. While console players will no doubt miss options for a higher frame rate, the fact that it looks and runs this well while maintaining 60 frames per second is still commendable. As it stands, and fights, Doom: The Dark Ages is unquestionably id Software's magnum opus, a worthy showcase of the power of id Tech 8, but above all, it raises the bar for first-person shooter fidelity and optimization. Now, I'm curious to see how much further the team can take it into the future, but for now, The Dark Ages is a top-tier visual feast that should not be missed. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.